Closing a business and don't know what to do with your GST number? Well, then this video can be of immense help. Hi, this is Tushar Bakshi, a startup advisor at Setindiabiz, where we provide tax, compliance, and IPR services to businesses in India. In this video, we will explain the detailed process of surrendering GST voluntarily to the tax authorities. The topics we will cover include: what is GST surrender? What are the reasons for GST surrender? Who can surrender GST registration online? How to file GST surrender application? And most importantly, can a surrendered GST be restored? We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin without a further ado. So what is GST registration surrender? So what exactly is GST registration surrender? It's basically when a taxpayer decides to voluntarily give up their GST registration on valid grounds. The process is quite straightforward. Either the taxpayer, or in case of his death, his legal heir, requests the surrender through an application. Wondering why would someone do this? Well, it helps to get rid of GST compliances like paying taxes and filing GST returns when the business is about to shut its operations or be restructured into a new entity. However, if someone doesn't surrender their GST registration when they should, or if they are violating GST laws, the tax authorities can step in to cancel the registration forcefully. Now that you know what GST surrender means, let's discuss the valid grounds for requesting it. What are the reasons for GST registration surrender? When you apply to surrender your GST, you need to state your reason clearly among those available in the application. Here are a few common ones. If your business structure changes and it leads to a change in your PAN, you'll need to surrender your GST registration. If you are no longer required to pay GST and your turnover is below the prescribed threshold, you can surrender your GST with immediate effect. GST registration is not required if you are closing your business. Old GST registration is surrendered and replaced with a new one if a business is being restructured with mergers, demergers, or amalgamations. If the sole proprietor passes away, their legal heirs can surrender the GST registration, as a sole proprietorship firm cannot exist after the proprietor's death. So, who can actually surrender GST registration online? Well, surrendering your GST registration can be either voluntary or involuntary. If you own a GST registered business and you want to surrender your GST number online, you can apply for it, but you will need to provide the right reasons for doing so. On the flip side, tax officers also have the power to cancel your GST registration on their own if there are valid reasons. Regardless of whether you surrender your GST registration voluntarily or it's done involuntarily by a tax officer, the outcome is the same. Your business will no longer be registered under the GST Act, and you won't have to meet GST compliance requirements like paying taxes or filing GST returns anymore. Now let's talk about how to file an application for the surrender of GST registration. It's a pretty straightforward process with just a few basic steps. How to file GST surrender application. Step 1. Access the GST surrender application. First things first, log into the GST website. Once you are in, go to the Services tab, then select Registration from the drop-down menu. That's where you'll find the online application for surrendering your GST registration. Step number 2. Fill out the application. The application has 3 main sections: basic details, cancellation details, and verification. Each section will open one by one after you complete its previous section. The first section is basic details. Here, you'll need to fill in some basic info like your business name, registered address, correspondence address, and GSTIN. After you save your basic details, the cancellation tab will open up. Here, you'll need to provide the reason for surrendering your GST registration and the date from which you want the surrender to be effective. Depending on your reason for cancellation, you might need to provide additional info. For example, if you are transferring your ownership through a merger, demerger, amalgamation, or reconstitution, you'll need the GSTIN of the new owner. For other reasons, you'll need to give details about your dues, liabilities, and current stock valuation. The last section is verification. Read the declaration displayed here, agree to it, and then verify your application. If you are a company or LLP owner, you'll need to use a digital signature certificate. Other taxpayers like individuals and sole proprietors can use electronic verification code as well. Step 3. Submit the application. Once you have completed all the sections, go ahead and submit your application on the GST website. The best part is that there is no cancellation fee required, and that's the end of the process. You have successfully applied for the surrender of your GST registration. However, an important question still remains. Can the surrendered GST be restored again? Let's try to answer. Can surrendered GST be restored? A surrendered GST registration can only be restored if it was cancelled forcefully by the tax authorities, except when it was cancelled due to non-filing of GST returns. If you want to restore it, here's what you need to do. First, you need to make an application to the GST department using Form GST Reg 21. This has to be done within 30 days from the date the cancellation order was issued. If the tax authorities are satisfied with your application, they'll revoke the cancellation within 30 days from your application date. But if they need more information before making a decision, they'll issue a show cause notice using Form GST Reg 23. And you will need to respond to this notice within 7 days using Form GST Reg 24. Finally, if the authorities decide to reject your revocation application, they'll notify you using Form GST Reg 05. And that's how you can restore a forcefully surrendered GST registration. With this, we come to the end of this video. Hopefully, you now have clarity on how to surrender your GST registration online. If you still have any questions, post them in the comment section or talk to our advisors directly. Contact details are given in the description below. Found this video helpful? Hit the like button and share the video with your friends and colleagues. Subscribe to our channel for more informative content ahead. Thanks for watching. Watch out our other videos as well.